Hey, this is Teddy,
This is Maya,
and welcome to Every Day I Do.
because I do is more than one day.
So, one thing that we've learned in our 25 years of marriage, I mean, we've been together for 26 because we dated for a year. And all this time, we've learned that we need a
Hmm.
community of believers.
Yeah, and we can look back throughout our marriage and dating relationship, and we see how we had built community in those early years. And then when we moved, we rebuilt community.
Yes.
And, every time we've moved, we've taken the time to rebuild the community and we've prayed. And this last move to Texas, we spent a lot of time prior to this move asking God to bring us into community because we knew that that is so important.
It really is. And I've loved every community that we've been a part of. I mean, from where we were in Albuquerque to where
Mhm.
we were in Washington and now in Texas.
Yeah. And we still have friendships from all
Lifelong.
of those seasons
Yeah.
that even though we don't see each other or talk, maybe every day or often, they're friendships that are eternal. So we know that we're going to spend eternity with them,
Absolutely.
and we still pray for them and
Yeah.
and talk with them. So
And the best part is serving alongside them too
yeah.
in a lot of in all these
Yeah.
things. I mean, we built like worship teams, and that
Yes.
we've just gotten so close
Yeah.
with. It's like we've been in the trenches
Yeah.
with these folks.
The bus ministry was our first
Hmm.
ministry we did when we were first married, and the people that we did bus ministry with,
Hmm.
we still have friendships with them, and
Yes.
that was, over 25 years ago.
Yeah. Isn't that
So
crazy?
it's so cool to see how community has helped build our marriage
Yeah.
and how it's strengthened our marriage. And
Mhm.
yeah, and today in Texas, we have built a new community, and it's amazing.
Yeah, man. So we did a couple of episodes about finding mentors, and within your church, and we believe that that is very, very important
Critical.
because healthy marriages don't thrive in isolation.
No, they don't. And that's part of why we started a marriage ministry in our
Yeah.
church, because we know that people need people. We need each other to be
Yeah.
encouraged. We need each other to lift each other up
Yeah.
when we're feeling down, to pray for each other, or just to have fun. Yesterday, I had a meeting with some friends from church, and our kids were playing together. We spent like 5 hours together. And our
Wow.
meeting probably took like, an hour or two, but just the time talking and sharing our lives and just enjoying it,
Yeah.
that's part of community. It's
It
not
really.
just doing ministry.
Yeah.
It's the friendship.
That's awesome. And God designed marriage to flourish within the context of a church community,
Hmm.
not just a mahjong group.
Yeah, truly, truly.
You know.
You can do that within your
Yeah.
community, but you can't center your whole life around
Mhm.
sports.
Yes.
A lot of people do,
Hmm.
their kids are in sports and their whole lives become about their sports.
Yeah.
And while there's nothing inherently wrong with
Exactly.
that, it can cause issues.
Yeah, it really could. So when couples serve together, they strengthen their relationship and they deepen their faith, and they become blessing to others.
We're seeing that big time in our marriage group right now.
Yeah.
We see friendships being born. We see a lot of encouragement happening.
Yes.
Even in our small group, we're just seeing amazing growth in
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
spiritually, physically, mentally, in their marriages.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yes. And one thing that we always talk about is serving shoulder to shoulder.
Hmm.
How you and I have served together, like you said, in the bus ministry. But I mean, if we look,
Early on, yeah.
yeah, early on. But I mean, if we look back at all the ministries that we've worked together, I mean, we did the nursery together.
Our first ministry, I think, was in the cafe,
Yes.
serving coffee
Yeah.
at church. And that was while we were dating, and we really got to know each other well in
Mhm.
that season, which I think is really good, because how often, if you don't work together, like your actual job, how
Yeah.
often do you get to work together in
Yeah.
that capacity as a dating couple? And
Exactly.
yeah, it was really good for
It
us.
really was.
And we've done, nursery, we've done, we did bus ministry, we did nursery again.
Yep.
I worked in the AV with you at
Mhm. You did.
one
You did the
church.
visuals,
Hmm.
and that was awesome. And so we have a history of serving alongside each other, but
Hmm.
serving within our church. But our most important ministries are our marriage,
Hmm.
our family, our kids.
Yeah.
That's our first
Those
ministry.
are the things you can't neglect. You can't get so busy doing the other
Yes.
things that you neglect your marriage, you neglect your own
Mhm.
family.
I'm glad you said that, because there have been people I know that pour themselves so much into their ministry, but neglect that first primary ministry of their family.
Yeah.
And that's not ministry then.
It's not.
It
And
really
and that's kind of what we want to talk
Yeah.
about is the strongest marriages are not self-focused, which is why we're like, we look outwards. They're Christ-centered, community-connected, and mission-driven.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going to talk about
Awesome.
today.
So when a husband and wife move away from, taking if they take the eyes off of themselves and they say, and they're, when they're self-centered, it's just us two and nothing else, then they say, what can the church do for me or for us?
Yeah.
But when you take your eyes off of yourself and start serving, you start saying, how can we serve God's people together?
And if people could get a hold of this, because I think it's hard to get to church and build, start going to church, build a habit of that. But once you do, and you go to church regularly, and that's part of your natural, consistent rhythm, then it's like, then what? And so many people get stuck in that, like, we checked our box, we went to church. And it's so much more than that. And that's where the community aspect changes you from what can I get from church to how can we serve the church, serve God's people.
Yeah. I mean, at the risk of sounding preachy, I mean, there's people who say, well, I don't have friends at church. I don't build friendships. Nobody reaches out to me.
Yeah.
But if you're the kind of person or the kind of couple that shows up to church, and as soon as that last song's done, you're out the door.
You're like,
yeah, exactly. And of course, you're not going to have relationships. You're not going to have friendships if you're not allowing yourself, making yourself vulnerable to become friends with other people.
Right. So come a little early.
Yeah.
Stay a little late.
Yeah.
Our new church now has some space where people can hang out. Before we didn't.
Yep.
But you and I have built most of the community we've built in all the churches we've been a part of in all our moves, is once we started serving.
Yes.
That's where you are in the trenches, like you said, with people. You see them for long periods of time. You have meetings with them. You serve together. And so I really think that's where the key to community within a body of Christ is serving.
Absolutely. And doing it together.
Yeah. And marriage was designed for partnership.
Yes.
We're designed to work together.
Right. So in Genesis 2:18, God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. And then in Genesis 2:24, he created Eve and she was a helpmeet for Adam. And then they said that the two shall become one.
And this shows that marriage is not just about companionship. It's not just having a friend there, even though that's a beautiful part of it. And I love that part of it. But it's also a partnership for God's purpose. And we always say marriage is not for happiness, but holiness.
Yeah.
And this is part of that, is the refining that happens in the midst of doing ministry together.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. So we want to just talk about how couples grow stronger when they share a mission.
So we're going to look at Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 12. So I'll go ahead and read those. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Again, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, 2 can withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken.
That's awesome. So to sum that up into one phrase or one sentence, 2 are better than 1, and a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken.
Man, when Christ is the center of our marriage, it is so much stronger. We were just praying that, I think, last night or the night before, and just how, since we've been praying together regularly and really focusing on what God is doing in our lives, our marriage has been so much stronger. Our communication has been so much better. Just every part of our marriage has gotten stronger.
Every single part. I mean, we parent better.
Yeah.
We serve better and we serve each other better.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how, our communication has just improved so much.
Yeah.
Because of that.
And really the point of all of this is that serving together builds unity. And that's what we've seen. The more we serve together, the more we do together, the more united we become. And I think in our parenting, that shows up.
Yeah.
We feel more united and we understand each other, where we're coming from and how we parent.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very, very, very true. So we're going to talk about some things that serving, what it reveals and what it develops within the marriage. So the first one is communication. And so when you have that communication, serving together, it requires constant communication.
It does. It does. So we do a lot of shared notes.
Mhm.
We have
Yep.
shared notes for everything, for this podcast, for the marriage group, for leadership groups, all the things.
Yeah.
And so that is really a helpful tool for
Yeah.
communicating, because a lot of times we have to decide who's going to say what,
Yep.
when,
Mhm.
where we're going to be,
Yep.
what's coming next. And that's, talk about how we communicate throughout the week.
So, I mean, after we're done praying, a lot of times we'll talk about, what's on the agenda for the week,
Mhm.
or what are we doing tomorrow.
Mhm.
And so we just look at our calendars and then
Mhm.
say, okay, we got this going on. We got this going on. And then so in the morning, then, we kind of like almost regroup again
Mhm.
and say, okay, I'm going to be doing this. And
Remind
after,
each other.
after this, then I'm going to do this.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm going to go to the store,
Mhm.
kind of thing. And you say, yeah, I'll be home all day with the kids,
Mhm.
doing school with them.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, or like when I come home or anything, we talk about how our days went.
What
And-
went well, what didn't go so well.
Exactly. And we communicate what
Mhm.
happened throughout the day. It's like, I talked to this person,
Mhm.
or this thing happened,
Mhm.
or did you see that this thing happened in the news, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of like get each other caught up.
Catch up. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of like what we used to do when I was actually leaving to work,
Mhm.
and I'd get home and we'd have couch time,
Mhm.
and we would just sit and catch up.
Yeah.
And our kids expect that from us.
Yeah. So we use our Skylight calendar
Yeah.
for a lot of things, for grocery lists and kids' chores. We use our shared notes for a
Mhm.
lot of things. We use our calendar on our phone for a lot of things. And so we're constantly trying to make sure the other person knows what's coming, because we're very busy, but we don't want to be out of the loop with each other.
Absolutely. But then when you're talking about being in ministry, you're talking about these kind of things because you serve in a ministry, I serve in a ministry. And so what's going on with the kids during that time?
Yes.
We have to talk about these I can't expect you to take our kids into your ministry and vice versa.
Right.
So we have to work something out there. It's like, okay, we're both busy on this day at this time.
Let's figure out who's going to watch them, or what we're going to do with them.
Exactly. Exactly. So these are the kind of communication things that that when you're in ministry, serving together, that you have to take care of.
And it shouldn't just land on one person, even if one person's more admin related. Some people have that natural gift.
Yeah.
But the communication part, I think, is the key. Like talking about it. And the cool thing about this is it creates opportunities for deeper conversations. Like you were saying, when we check in with each other, it's not just like, oh, did you get there okay? Everything went fine. No, I want to know, who did you chat with? Like, how is that going? Are they doing well in the ministry? Are they not? And that way I feel connected to your ministry, even though I'm not in it necessarily.
Yes.
This is the tech ministry. We're in marriage ministry together. So we have a lot of ministries.
We do.
But the same with, I'm on the welcome team. And so you'll check in and say, like, how did everything go? Was it smooth? And so it's a way for us to stay connected, even on Sundays when we're not necessarily in the same proximity.
I know. I mean, like, we see each other for like 5 minutes at church.
At the beginning of church and the end.
Exactly. And so it's really important that people understand that couples who serve together learn to express expectations clearly and listen well and solve problems as a team.
Yeah.
Like you said, it can't just be one person doing everything. You have to do it together.
And so, for instance, what that makes me think of is our small group. We have a small group in our house, so we have to study together. We usually prepare food, clean the house. Like, there's a lot that goes into just doing that. And so it doesn't just fall on one person. We split these duties. And they're not even the same every time. So we talk about that and like, okay, this week, this is because we might have other stuff going on. So
another thing is humility. And serving reminds us that ministry is not about us.
That's such a good point, because yes, it can be very quickly, like you said earlier, when we're just like focused on our family and just like it's us four and no more kind of thing, then we forget about helping anyone. And we can get very prideful, like, oh, our kids are doing good, our marriage is doing good, our finances are doing good, and we can forget that there's other people out there that could be being helped.
And so even when plans change, recognition goes to someone else, or our ideas are not used, or our pride is tested when we get into these ministries and we humble ourselves, when we let go of our own wants, desires, or our own thoughts, like this ministry should be done this way, not the way it's doing now. So there's a place and time to give that feedback, but it's not like you join a ministry and you try to change things the way that you want them to be.
Yeah.
So serving teaches us to lay down our preferences for the good of others. Your idea might be good, but it might not be the best of all the ideas.
I love that thought because of our leadership team in marriage ministry. There's 4 couples and we all have different ideas. We all come from different perspectives, walks of life. And when we get together, we can present an idea like, let's do this. And then they come back at it with, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And it may be things we didn't think about.
Yeah.
And so if we were full of pride and we're like, no, we're doing it this way, then that would be to the detriment of our leadership team and the ministry, letting our pride get in the way of what, could happen. So
I've seen so many ministries fail because of one person wanting to do things their way instead of the God's way,
ultimately. Yeah. And that's what it takes a lot of times is just, okay, let's pray about it. Let's come back together. Let's see what the Lord has led us to do.
And then in marriage, humility takes its place, because you have to ask questions about what's going on between the two of you. Like, how can I support my spouse they're doing this ministry? How do I, like myself, doing the AV ministry for this build out that we did, I was away for like 2 weeks solid.
Yeah. Day after day.
Day after day. You saw me like early in the morning, maybe.
Yeah.
If I'd kiss you goodbye.
Yeah.
And then I'd come home
late
like 11 o'clock at night, and we'd spend 2 minutes together before we, prayed and prayed and fell asleep.
Yeah. But even Sunday mornings are like that. You leave very, very early.
Yes.
And so you're, working and focused, and I'm getting the kids up and getting to another service. And so that takes communication and it takes support as well.
Like this Sunday, you have a meeting scheduled for right after church. And so we don't have to say what's going to happen with the kids, because I know that you have that meeting. And so honestly, I'll be with the kids during that time. So,
and take care of lunch and all of that.
Take care of lunch. Absolutely.
Things like that. They're just practical, but it's those kind of things that can make or break a marriage. Those little things.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen naturally.
No, it takes a lot of,
it really does,
connection and work.
It does. And then also, how can I put their needs ahead of my own? That's true humility, is putting other people's needs, especially when it comes to your spouse and in ministry. And then how can we honor Christ rather than seek credit?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because that's hard when you've worked so hard to do something and you're like, it's like, I want people to know that I worked hard, but then you're like, but I want to give glory to Christ.
Yeah.
Or what if people do give you recognition and then you're like, how do I respond to that? So
I always heard it said that the most humble response is just saying, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Because anything that's simple and it doesn't really take the glory. It just,
you're just
it's acknowledging.
I mean, your hard work is being acknowledged, and there's nothing wrong with saying thank you for that.
Yeah.
If somebody's noticed, I mean, you can totally give God the glory in the larger scheme of things. Absolutely.
Yeah. Philippians 2:3-4. To summarize it, it says, in humility, value others above yourselves. And so that's a lot of what humility in ministry looks like.
Yeah.
It looks like laying down your wants, needs, and desires for somebody else and putting them first.
Yeah. And the next one is patience.
Oof.
I always tell people, don't pray for patience. Don't pray for patience for me.
Who's praying for patience around here? That was in this build out. It's like there was so many things that required patience because you had to wait on somebody else to do something.
But it's something that it's needed.
Yeah.
When you're serving in church as a married couple.
We have learned that ministry rarely goes as planned.
Absolutely not.
You can make all kinds of plans and it rarely does that.
Yes.
Too many people involved. People are unpredictable.
And the technology fails too. Technology, I've seen so many times. I mean, things that we inherited from the older church.
Yeah.
A lot of it didn't work.
Yep.
And so Yeah, stuff that
And
we
you find
depended
that
on.
in the middle of something, or
Yeah,
it goes out.
yeah, in our first service.
Yeah, exactly. That was yikes. But part of that you have to be careful with is people's emotions, because in stressful situations, people can flare up emotionally. You saw this happen during this build a lot, and people are stressed because they're doing a job, and if it doesn't work,
Yeah.
then in that moment they're like, what am I going to do? But serving together, and maybe not even just you and I, but serving with other people at church, because we're part of ministries, so we have to serve with other people. We have to learn to extend grace to each other. We have to learn how to be kind with our words in those moments, and even persevere through inconvenience. And that's a big part of ministry. It's hardly ever convenient.
That's right. Never. That same patience, it is essential in marriage, where often growth takes time. So you have to have patience, because your spouse is not going to change overnight, obviously, and your spouse can't read your mind.
Right.
And so
We're all learning.
And so you need to have that patience. So Colossians 3:12b through 13 says, put on tender mercies, kindness, humility, meekness, long-suffering, bearing with one another, and forgiving one another. If anyone has a complaint against another, even as Christ forgave you, so you also must do. That's such a good scripture.
So the next one that serving together helps build is teamwork. I think that if young couples serve together, it's a really good intro to marriage. Even when you're dating, like I said, you get to learn things about the person you're dating in a way that you probably wouldn't. And it gives you a shared goal, a shared vision, a shared mission.
Yeah.
And each of us brings a unique gift.
Yeah.
And that's what we realized. And I think our gifts have developed. I wouldn't say our gifts have changed, but they've developed, because I think you and I have natural bents, obviously. But through the years, if we look back, we can see how they've developed into stronger gifts, I guess, talents. And we haven't really changed what we do, but maybe how we do it.
Yeah.
Through the years.
Absolutely. And so it doesn't mean that we have to have the same gifting or do the same ministry together.
Right.
Like you do the welcome ministry because you have a bent towards hospitality and people.
Yeah.
I mean, you love people and you love welcoming people.
I love talking to people.
Yes, absolutely. And you love hearing their stories and you love, helping them in different ways. And me, I'm on the technology part, I'm doing the AV stuff and thing in the worship team and stuff like that. And so we don't necessarily have to do them, but we're still serving together in the same church.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing because I know couples who are going to two different churches. And that shouldn't be. I mean, that's where we talked about being unequally yoked.
Yes.
One's going to one kind of church and one's going to another, and those two churches don't align. And that's why they're different.
Therefore, your belief system doesn't align. And there's so much. If you're going to two different churches, this is not good.
Yeah, it's not.
You need something. Help. I don't know.
So like one may excel in planning while the other thrives in encouragement. One leads up front while the other might faithfully serve behind the scene, like in the nursery or something like that. It's just important that serving couples appreciate each other's strength and work towards that common purpose of serving Christ in church.
Yeah. Another one that serving together causes is dependence on God. It will quickly reveal our limitations. And I realized I had an instance last night where I was very tired. I'd had that long meeting and then I got a text from someone and they really needed prayer. And it's someone I've been working with in the marriage ministry. And I just said a quick prayer. I'm like, Lord, I'm tired. I don't know if I have the capacity for this, but I know you do. And I ended up having a really good conversation with her and we prayed together and we were both encouraged. And that shows that our human physical limitations can sometimes hinder us from serving if we're not depending on God.
Wow. That's awesome. Because of your dependence on God, you're able to be in ministry.
Mm-hmm.
You were able to minister to somebody.
And it wasn't me.
It wasn't your own strength. It was God.
It was totally him.
And that's how he is in our weaknesses.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how, people say that Christians are weak. And yeah, we need to be.
Yes.
We need to be weak because where we're weak, he is strong.
Exactly. And that's the scripture I always think about. Like, I'm like, when I feel weak, that's where God's glory can shine the greatest in me. It's so true. And we never have enough wisdom. Mm-hmm. We never have enough strength. Mm-hmm. We never have enough energy to meet these needs in our own power. Yeah. So if we think we do, we're lying to ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. So serving, it drives couples to pray, Lord, help us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, help us find that the strength to do it. Lord, give us wisdom. Because like you just said, we don't have enough wisdom. Mm-hmm. We have to depend on God to give that wisdom to us and for us. And then we also pray, use us for your glory, not our own.
We have seen this so much in this marriage ministry because we started it from the ground up. Mm-hmm. We didn't know what we were doing. Yep. We didn't know how it was going to go. We didn't even know necessarily what the need was. Yeah. And we have prayed and prayed and prayed and asked God for wisdom to use us for his glory. And he's done amazing things in it that far beyond what we could do on our own.
I like the phrase, like we were building the plane while it was already in flight. That's exactly what we were doing. So John 15:5 says, apart from me, you can do nothing. Yeah. I mean, you might try to do things in your own strength, and it'll probably fail.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be so hard. It's going to be walking through sticky sand.
Sticky.
Terrible.
Yeah.
But that's total dependency on God. Apart from me, you can do nothing.
Yeah.
So Philippians 2:3-4 says, let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind. Let each esteem others better than himself. Let each of you look out not only for your own interests, but also for the interests of others.
So in humility, count others more significant than yourselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, that seems to be the running theme that we're talking about here. So the same mindset that strengthens ministry also strengthens our marriages.
Yeah, it does. And we've
being
seen
humble,
that.
And
being
with
dependent
prayer.
on God.
Yes. Do everything without selfish ambition.
Mm-hmm. Hebrews 10:24-25 says, and let us consider one another in order to stir up love and good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as is the manner of some, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. So we're talking about how we cannot neglect coming together in a corporate setting. Yeah. Church is very important.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I've heard say, like, I don't need to attend church because I have my own church in my house, or I do church by myself on my boat, or whatever. I don't know.
Nature is my own church. Yeah, exactly. God speaks to me through
and
nature.
Absolutely, God can do that. But there's a command in the Bible for us to not neglect the meeting together as corporate worship, like coming together to hear the word, to worship God.
Yes. So is it humble for somebody to say, God speaks to me each and every time I'm out in nature?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Because you're
making it all about you.
Exactly. And that's the opposite of humility.
Yeah. Yeah. What we have seen is that couples who isolate themselves, they often struggle more than those who stay connected.
Yeah.
We see that a lot. We've seen that a lot. We've encouraged couples to not isolate. And a lot of times people isolate when they're going through something hard. And they're kind of like, I don't know, just...
It's like they want to be private.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with, that, but at the same time...
You still need somebody in your life.
Yeah. You need another couple to pray. I mean, like, we know of somebody who made it widely known that something was going on with their spouse. Mm-hmm. It was a medical issue. Mm-hmm. And because of that, the church came together and prayed. Mm-hmm. And, people were praying for them left and right and just giving them encouragement. And so through that, they've gotten some good reports from the doctors. I mean, honestly, it's a miracle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
But they let people rally around them.
Yes.
Pray for them, support them.
Yes.
Encourage them. And then they feel more encouraged in that.
Yeah.
So serving actually shifts focus away from self.
Yeah. So many marital conflicts with my needs aren't being met, or I'm not appreciated, or what about me? Mm-hmm. But serving, when you serve your spouse, when you're serving in church, you're serving outside of yourself, you start saying, who can we bless? Or how can we help? Or how can we glorify God together?
Takes the focus off of us and
Yeah.
puts it out there.
Yeah, on God and
Mhm.
serving others. I mean, I always heard it said that the way you spell joy is Jesus first, others second, and yourself last.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've known a lot of people who, and I've encouraged people who have had going through some hard times. I said, well, take the focus off of you
Mm-hmm.
in a loving way.
Yeah.
Just start serving.
Yeah.
And see what God does during that time. And they've always come back to me saying, man,
it changed everything.
It changed everything.
It does. When you take the focus off yourself,
yeah,
it really does. Mark 10:45 says, the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. Jesus is our example.
He's the perfect model for what it's like to serve. He served by washing his disciples' feet, and he served by helping others, encouraging others, opening blind eyes in so many ways, not just physical, but spiritual eyes.
Yeah. And when you read about Jesus and his disciples, it was always about them. Like he was always trying to get them to understand, that he was here for a purpose. And he just was so relational in that way.
Yeah. I mean, John 17 is the prime example of that. When he prayed, this is the life eternal, that they might know you, the one true God, and Jesus Christ, who you sent. I mean, he went to the Father. This was a prayer that he was praying to the Father about the disciples.
Yes.
And he has such a servant's heart. And through that, we learn about servant leadership.
Yeah.
That's the best way to lead. In fact, the job that I was in, hated that I was more of a servant leader than I was a hard leader.
Hard, do it this way or else kind of boss.
Exactly.
I think if we take Jesus's example in servanthood and become that servant leader, then our marriages become a testimony, a living testimony. And for our kids, primarily, that's where it starts.
Yes.
They watch us serve, and eventually, as they get older, we pray that they'll want to serve in the church as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your life shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." So it's saying that to let your light shine before others. And so your light is the light that comes from God, because you're serving and he's working in you and through you. That's one thing that we always pray every night, is for God to work in us and through us in all the ministries that we're a part of.
And we see that so much in like the mentorship that we're doing, because we know that we're not perfect and our marriage isn't perfect, but we know that we're growing and we're becoming sanctified every single day. And that's what we tell people, is like the sanctification that's happening continues to happen all of our lives. And we see growth in them. We see growth in ourselves. And that's a way for our light to shine, is by just being honest and vulnerable about our shortcomings, but letting God shine through with what he's doing.
Amen. So when couples serve faithfully, others see that love in action. So we've seen a lot of new couples come into the church recently, and now these couples are actually serving together. Like we know one couple that serves coffee in the coffee cart each and every Sunday together. And it's so awesome to see that.
We see couples ushering together, greeting together. Just it's so fun to see couples serving together.
Yeah. And then they also see perseverance, and they say unity. It's so good to see when we see those couples serving together. It brings them together. It brings that unity. And then also see the Christ-centered priorities.
You don't have to have a perfect marriage. Nobody does.
Nobody does.
And I think sometimes people think, I know when I was younger and maybe first like watching church and how it all comes together, I think, well, to be on stage, for instance, singing, like your life must be perfect. Or to be that person who's greeting and ushering people into the church, your life must be amazing, your marriage. But it's not. Our nobody's perfect. We're just all people who are becoming sanctified and choosing to serve. So anyone can serve. Absolutely. Just be faithful.
So, and every couple has something to give. They have something to offer, right?
We
just
see, yeah, we see lots of couples that have the gift of hospitality,
Mhm.
and like our coffee cart, we have these couples that serve together, and they just love talking and smiling to people, love serving people,
Yeah.
and you just see the joy it brings.
Yes.
And then there's people who love to pray and encourage people. So
Mhm.
we have an amazing prayer team
Yeah.
that you could be a part of, that if that's your gifting.
Yeah. Or if they have technical skills, or like if you have technical skills and you want to use those to glorify God, then there's a lot of ways that you can get involved in your church. If your church doesn't have any of these programs, maybe God is asking you to start those up.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've done that too.
absolutely. Or if your skills are in teaching or in
Mhm.
mentoring, then there are avenues to do that.
There's men's ministry, women's ministry, there's
Youth.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Kids.
yeah. 1 Peter 4:10 says, use whatever gift that you have received to serve one another.
Love that.
Yeah.
So some practical ideas that like we just gave you are, there's so many places to serve. I know children's ministry always has a need for servants to come. But small groups, even meal trains, there's like things that you can do like on the benevolent side. I know that our church has a benevolence ministry. So if someone's passed away or if someone's had a baby, they can take care of them with meal trains. And I mean, we have a homeschool ministry at our church. There's just so many things, so many places to serve.
Absolutely.
A marriage with a shared mission is a stronger marriage.
Yes.
And that's where we've seen strength happen in our marriage.
Absolutely. So couples who worship together, serve together, and stay connected to the church often experience deeper unity and purpose.
It's so true.
Yeah.
We've seen it in our own lives.
Yes. And so we wanted to encourage everybody who's listening to get involved in a church. If you're not in a church, find a good Bible-believing church, one that truly honors God in everything that they do
and preaches the word.
That's so important. If you find a church that is not preaching the word, they're not really a church.
Find a different church.
Yeah, find a different church. But then get involved. Find a ministry that you can use your gifts in. If you have the gift of gab, welcome. There's a ministry for you. Yeah. If you have the gift of tinkering with stuff, get involved in the AV. There's so many different areas. So thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, have a good week.
See you next time.
See you next time.